Eventually I gave up, and Ren and I returned to scouting out the Ming-Song family estate. There was a particularly large group of soldiers gathered in the courtyard, a quiet unease among them as they cautiously chattered with each other. We walked by the front, and Ren pulled me aside after we examined the entrance up close. "Damon, I can sense my dad inside," she said, pointing toward the palace. I figured he would be. "Who's that?" I asked, looking toward a high balcony. Ren looked up too and saw the old man I pointed out. He was shorter than Ren's waist and had a long white mustache, bushy eyebrows, and a bald head, but he had an intensely pleased look in his blue eyes. He was wearing an eloquent lord's red robe with a metal mantle on the shoulders that had spikes that pointed up on each end. Ren didn't have time to respond before he started speaking. "Men, my children have returned from their mission, and with it they have effectively ended death across the land," he said as Liu and Lin Yu stepped out from behind him and stood at his side. The men responded with a resounding cheer for their success. I immediately noticed that Liu had bandage wrappings over his right eye, but Lin Yu looked no worse for wear. I was surprised to see a group of soldiers in a specially decorated armor take the front, standing before the men gathered in the grounds. The old man continued by saying, "And now, those among you so loyal as to give your lives for us, I ask you, sever your head from your body and serve us eternally in undeath." Everyone seemed quite taken aback, all except the decorated soldiers and the Ming-Songs themselves. The decorated soldiers drew their swords and knelt down before their army, each leaning their neck into their blade until they removed their own heads. Their bodies flopped to the ground with graceless thuds as a few of the soldiers cried out in terror. Ren covered her mouth, looking like she was fighting back the urge to be sick. Just as a few started breaking ranks and fleeing for their lives, there was a collective gasp as the bodies of the beheaded started pushing themselves back to their feet, heads left on the ground like discarded pistachio shells. The bodies stood upright and held their weapons aloft. The men were still quite unsure, and murmuring rose from them, but it was broken by the enthralled call of the elder Ming-Song. "At last! We really have ridden the land of death. Now, men, take the upgraded weaponry we've provided you and prepare for battle against General Wang. His men pose an immediate danger to our lands, and we cannot allow this threat to go unchecked. But now you may march into battle without the fear of death." The men started chanting, "Live forever, General Lai," repeatedly. But something about all this didn't seem right. Something about that name felt familiar. My train of thought was interrupted by General Ming-Song addressing his men once the chanting died down. "And now, my son has been blessed with an eye that can see the truth. Remove your bandages, Liu, and tell us all what you see," the general bid. As his father commanded, Liu unwrapped his eye and opened it, revealing the glowing pupil beneath. There wasn't a doubt in my mind that the eye had once belonged to Zhao. I immediately recognized the bright yellow iris and the pupil that shined like starlight, just the same as Zhao's eyes.